Hello world, welcome to the 60th Climate Change Emergency Awareness Protest in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, USA. It's January 30th. I'm doing this on a Thursday. I have too much to do on Friday, and so just moved it up one day. And so again, this is the 60th one. Next week will be the 61st one, and that'll be on February 7th at 11 a.m. So presently the CO2 level is 414.67. It briefly got up to 416 last week, or earlier this week, I guess it was. Significance of that again is humans have only existed between 200 and 280 parts per million. So 416, 414, splitting hairs, doesn't matter at this point. We're well above survivable levels. And unless we reduce CO2 and stop producing CO2, humanity and most life on Earth is basically done for. So we do have it in our abilities to control the situation before it gets any more out of hand. But evidently we don't have the willpower to do it, as you can tell by all the cars and trucks whizzing by in this small town of Gettysburg, PA. This morning it was 18 degrees Fahrenheit, which is minus 6.7 degrees Celsius. On Tuesday it'll be a high of 61 degrees, which is 16.1 degrees Celsius. So everything's topsy-turvy as far as the fluctuations in weather. Right now, as you can tell by the ground, that there's no snow here. And that could change in a heartbeat. And that's weather. It's not always an indication of climate, but there is a general trend of a very changing situation. And the significance of that is that, for example, on Tuesday, due to the warm weather we've been having, that the farmers' trees for the orchards will bud, and they'll get ready to produce leaves and flowers and everything. And you get a cold snap overnight of 18 degrees, Fahrenheit. You lose the buds; they freeze, and the farmers lose their crops for the spring and summer. So that's an indication of what's going on. Nature is also screwed up in that, I saw an actual moth about last week that flew into my headlights of my car. So, you got insects, whatever's left of them, which there are very few anymore, if people notice or would take notice. Because when I was a kid, you'd drive down the road and insects would pelt the windshield to the point that you could only drive 100 miles and you'd have to clean off your windshield. Now you rarely hit a bug ever. So it's a rare thing. But the significance is that the bugs are no longer having their hibernation time, and the whole cycle is broken down, which affects the birds then because they don't have food to eat. It affects smaller animals, they don't have food to eat. So it's a whole breakdown from bottom up, and we're not taking care of the small things. So eventually the larger animals, and including humans, will be in big trouble. As in this country, we've totally lost the honeybees. The only honeybees you have basically are domesticated ones. You don't have the wild ones anymore. You don't have the pollinators. So you end up with a food insecurity issue, with crop damage due to cold and then hot and then cold again. You're going to lose crops, and you're going to end up with a flooding situation as they're having in Indonesia. With the heating of the environment, the more water vapor can be held in the air, and so you can end up with these giant deluges. So Indonesia is suffering horribly with floods right now, and it varies to where that can happen. That can happen anywhere. It can happen right here, for example, as well. You got Australian fires, which were devastating the country. I think the size of the fires was equal to the whole state of West Virginia. You get extreme drought, as they're having in southern Africa, the bottom third of Africa, and they're having in the bottom third of South America right now. You have pestilence, which locusts, which we know as grasshoppers, are hitting Kenya real hard, eating whatever food they have. And you get diseases that will come out of the Arctic permafrost that we haven't ever seen in humanity's history, that we will have no immunity to. And it'll go worldwide because we travel the world very quickly due to airplanes or ship travel or whatever else is our mode of transportation, even cars within countries or within a country or across country lines. So you get a situation where you have a worldwide pandemic. That's why everyone's freaking out about this coronavirus in China, because no longer are we self-contained. You have a situation where someone from China could come over to the United States and just wipe out the whole United States with one person if they had the proper virus that we have no immunity to. So it's a very dangerous situation we're living in right now. We're playing with fire with a giant science experiment with this climate change thing. There are so many feedback loops going on. I don't know how we're ever going to get out of it, because there's no desire mentally to change your ways. This town was a total embarrassment on last Friday when we did our climate change protest at 2 p.m. We had truck after truck accelerating, trying to blow smoke in our face, just being basically assaultive. Not even way past obnoxious. It was straight up assaults on things. People saying stuff or yelling out the window or giving us thumbs down. And, you're basically giving your own child thumbs down when you're doing that. You're not hurting me. You're not hurting whatever. You think you're making a political statement. And it's not a political statement. It's a matter of survival. So thumbs down, stick it up your child's butt or whatever you're doing, because it's not a good situation what you're doing to your own children. It's not a good thing. And people need to straighten up and stop watching Fox television with the propaganda and get back to the science. So it's a horrible situation what's going on right now, and our country is going to drag the whole world down with it, with our denialism, because then it makes other countries feel like they can deny as well. So you got idiotic leaders in charge of Australia, Russia, Saudi Arabia, and they think they can just go carte blanche and get away with everything. And it's a mental illness that's going on right now with the denialism. So it's really not a good situation. If you do love your children, you need to act like you love your children and actually get out and start doing something. This idea of waiting for an election, whether it's Trump or the Democrat, and a savior for your society is wrong-headed thinking. By the time that happens, either way, either Trump will continue to take us down the path of hell, or the Democrat will get in and they don't quite get it and they can't get things done for another 6 months after they're inaugurated. So you're looking at a year and a half basically until anything gets done, if it gets done at all. And by then our goose is cooked. I think it's already done for, but we're giving ourselves no chance of survival at this point. So again, look across at your child at the dinner table or whatever, at the car or whatever, and realize that you're putting their lives in jeopardy. The pace we're on right now, I think by 2023, everyone will know someone who's gravely affected by climate change, whether they died due to fire, flood, lost their house, lost their crops, whatever. It's a whole thing going on. And I think everyone will know someone who's gravely affected. And by 2026, and that's only 6 years from now, I think we are all gravely affected by climate change. And our society probably will break down as well as the governments of the world. And then you get into fascism. Then you get into fascism and totalitarian situations, even worse than now. And there's going to be nowhere to hide. They're going to take what they think is theirs. Hold on. So it's a bad situation that you're not with democracy. You actually have to engage. You cannot let it up to the leaders to continue on, because power corrupts absolutely, and that's what we're having right now. They're insulated. They feel like they don't have to pay attention to what the ordinary people feel, and as long as they get their money from the corporations, all is well, and they really don't care about you. So your politicians are hell-bent on killing you, and they are committing murder with their policies. Yeah, they're not killing you straight up right now, but they will be killing you and your children probably within the next 6 years. So, my thought process on here is tough love, and, you all need to get out here and start doing something. I shouldn't be out here by myself. It's not a good situation, and the politicians will not feel any need to be pressured to do anything without thousands of people out on the street in every town. So, by myself, 60th one of these things, and this is pitiful. I should have hundreds of people around, and I shouldn't even be the main talker at this point. There should be other people that are taking up the talking stick and should be engaged and doing what they need to do to make the politicians hear what they want and their demands. It's the people's government. It's not the government owning the people. The people own the government, and it's only as good as your engagement with the government. If you're not engaged, you're handing over your thoughts and desires and desire to survive to people in charge, and you're counting on their goodness. And power corrupts absolutely, as I said, and money talks and greed and everything else. And that's what's happening in this country right now. So it is a political matter now, because our survival depends on the politicians. and we will not survive this. With policies going on right now, unless we have a total systemic change and a thought process change and a change of heart and a change of the media, they start reporting the truth and stop acting like it's I win, you lose type mentality, we're not going to survive this. 6 years. Okay, think about what you're going to be doing in 6 years, how old your child is, how old you're going to be in 6 years, and the situation is absolutely dire. So the idea of politicians saying we have 10 years to act on this is totally untrue. Climate change is happening right now around the world, as I just said on the previous part here. So it's happening right now. It's not in the future. It is right in our doorstep. It's right in our living room, and it's occurring. And the media won't say it's climate change related activities, but it absolutely is. So you got to wake up, and when it's 60 degrees in the winter in Gettysburg, PA, USA in February, something is severely wrong. So again, we need to get out on the streets. So hopefully I'll see someone out here next week on February 7th. Doubtful that that'll happen, but keep hoping for a savior. I'm sure they'll be right along on the way and help us all out. This is very frustrating, and to watch what's happening. And I look at kids crossing the street, and I see dead people walking. So hopefully someone will wake up and get to it. See you later. Bye.